So if there's 10 doors in the room and you've closed 2 of them because of fears, you only have 8 doors left. That doesn't necessarily mean because those doors were closed, because you're afraid of what's in there, that's a place you shouldn't go. They could be something that's beneficial about it.
This is Folded Curiosity.
Confidence is selective filing. Confidence isn't pretending you're fearless. It's your mind filing pain in the right drawer so it doesn't run the whole office.
Yes.
You don't delete the memory, you stop letting it drive.
Yes. Confidence is something you achieve through humility and trying to be humble. And don't allow the memories of failures or the memories of not succeeding or embarrassment or missteps or even projections. We often project into the world what ifs, all the possibilities, the things that could be, those who came before me have done and failed and not succeeded. And whatever small thing, it doesn't have to be something grand. It can just be having a conversation in a room. But having confidence in those situations comes from learning to let go of your ego and learning to be humble and coming to the situation, whatever it is, as somebody who's willing to learn.
Talk about rewriting your self-narrative. How the story you tell about yourself, your past, either fuels you or cages you.
We're always just telling ourselves a story every day of either how our day is going to go, or we're telling ourselves a story about how our previous day had went. Or it could even be more than that, how the week is going to go, or how the last week went, or month, or year, whatever it is. And these stories, they may or may not be accurate because we tend to latch on to negative feelings or negative thoughts. Or sometimes we over-amplify positive feelings or positive thoughts. And it misrepresents things in our minds of what actually happened. And we make things more prevalent than perhaps they need to be. And I think you have to temper the power you give these stories because they can be limiters in themselves and they can empower you or they can inhibit you. And depending on our mood, that story could be something that was difficult that you had gone through. And the story you tell yourself is a traumatic one. And that can now be a limiter in your life and inhibit you from moving forward. So don't give those stories, don't allow them the power that they can have over you. Use them as information, as knowledge, but just realize that they may not always be 100% accurate. And they are based on emotion. We are emotional creatures and that's how we function. So by allowing these stories to influence you too much, they can really inhibit or limit your confidence in any situation.
If someone feels like a failure, what is one question you'd have them ask about their past?
That's an interesting question. I think, so if you have a failure in your past and it's going to be a painful memory, it's going to create fear in the present because you don't want to re-experience that pain, that discomfort. We try to avoid discomfort as people generally. So it's going to be a door that closes essentially, and a place that you probably don't want to go again. But that is now limiting you. That's limiting. So if there's 10 doors in the room and you've closed 2 of them because of fears, you only have 8 doors left. So that doesn't necessarily mean because those doors were closed, because you're afraid of what's in there, that's a place you shouldn't go. They could be something that's beneficial than that. It was maybe you're just afraid of it when you think about it. Maybe it was just too hard. And that's why you didn't succeed, because maybe you weren't mentally ready. Maybe you weren't physically ready. Maybe you weren't emotionally ready. So they could be limits that you're perhaps not seeing. So don't close those doors, keep them open. And fear isn't always a problem. Sometimes it can be a strength.
Can you share a moment that used to haunt you and how you reframed it for yourself?
I try to reframe in general. I don't know if there's one moment in my life, because I try to, at least every time I have a moment that I'm afraid of or I'm fearful of because of something that caused pain or discomfort, I try to reframe it in a positive way and look at it like a learning experience. This is a way I learned how either A, not to do it, or I learned that doing whatever it is extremely difficult. And I only brought, 10 whatevers to this, and I really needed 20. And it doesn't have to be physical, it can be emotional or whatever it is. I wasn't emotionally prepared for this. So I try to frame it in a way that I know that it is not a closed door. I try to frame it so that moving forward, I can use that information to better myself next time I try. And look, it doesn't necessarily mean you ever have to try again because it was so difficult. But don't use that excuse as I can never do that. Because that it's killing, it's a tourniquet on that part of your mind. And don't do that. I think that it's something that we should be open to, and just means maybe it's something, or it could be something that you come back and are going to revisit at some point when you're ready. I think some people can see humility as relating it to humiliation or seeing something as demeaning. And I don't think humility at all has anything to do with those. I think it has more to do with being a student. It means coming to the situation as someone who's willing to learn. And it's difficult to put yourself in those shoes, but think about a situation where someone came to the table or to a conversation or to an event or whatever it is that you're thinking about. And was that person humble? Were they calm? They had a few wise things to say, or maybe unwise things to say, but they weren't speaking a lot, but you could tell that they cared about what they were doing. They put their heart in it, and they're willing to do their best at whatever it was. Even if they weren't the best, they were putting their best into it. There's something about it that makes you drawn to that person. You like that person. You feel comfortable around them because they were not threatening to you. They're not looking at you as competition. Even if you are competition, they are looking at it like, how can I learn from my competitor? And that is something I think we should all try to embody. So I don't think humility is humiliation. I think it is a power, and it means that you are coming to the table to gather more knowledge and more information, and as a student.